What's up everyone, it's Moonkin FTW here, once again making an RCT video after all these years. I know it's been a while. For those that don't know, I used to make RCT videos way back in 2007, 2008 or something like that. And recently I got into touch with RCT again because I discovered that there was OpenRCT2. And they also added a whole bunch of cool stuff, and I saw some videos on YouTube and I was like, okay, I gotta give this a go myself. So I decided to make my own park, and when I was done, I was like, you know what, I might as well make a video and throw it online. I don't know if anyone's gonna watch it because this channel has been dead for a very long time. But you know what, for the few people that like it, well, here you go, this is my park. And I'm gonna go over my park, show you the rides and everything that there is to see, and also give you guys a bit of context to how this park was created. So the park, what you see right here, I didn't put a whole lot of time into this, but a decent amount. And I wanted this to be realistic, and I also wanted the coasters to be realistic. Basically meaning you're not going to have a B&M with 45 inversions or a 600 feet tall Giga Coaster or anything like that. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and go through the park, shall we? So I'm going to press or undo pause, and we're going to start off way at the beginning. And the beginning is, of course, right here. Now, you can see some single pathing here, and, you know, after consideration, after looking back, I wish I did a bit more double pathing, but we'll get to that later on. So as you can see, you walk into the park, and right here, you have kind of a kiddie section, if you will, with just some flat rides, very simple. And again, the theming is not crazy. It's just kind of basic, if you will, because, again, I didn't want to make something super crazy like some craziness I see on, you know, on YouTube. It's just a bit basic. But still, you have a little bit of a food court here, so people can eat and chill here. You have a nice little lake here with some benches for people to hang out on and just enjoy the nice view. And I think let's go ahead and go to the left, where we have our very first roller coaster, a classic Aero Looper, or a corkscrew roller coaster. And the design is also, and it just broke down, that's great. But basically, it goes up a hill with these classic supports. It makes two loops, and then some few basic corners, and it goes into this mid-course brake run. And then, as an absolute classic, it makes a few turns and it goes into these corkscrews over the crowd. People can stand here if they want to, make pictures and all that, so that's pretty cool. So, yeah, that's basically the first coaster. Nothing too fancy. It's designed as, like I said, an 80s Aero, you know, corkscrew looping roller coaster, if you will. If we go a bit more, let's say northeast, we have a few more flat rides here. And here we have another roller coaster, a side friction roller coaster, which I generally don't make. Excuse me there. But I thought this was kind of fitting because I wanted the beginning of the park to kind of resemble like this was the older section, and the other parts more new, if you will, or newer additions. So this is a classic coaster. I used some of the extra supports here, and overall I don't think it looks too bad. You got a little bit of a brake run here at the end in the station. Again, nothing super crazy. I also made it sure that the queues have some sort of like ceiling or whatever, so to replicate, you know, if it's very hot, then, you know, the guests can chill under it and stay cool. So that is it. Nothing too crazy about this one. It just goes back and forth a little bit. It's very basic. And this one's also broken down. Off to a great start. Over here we have a kind of a compact Schwarzkopf looper with two loops. I didn't do much with this one. I just didn't really know what else to add here apart from just the coaster itself and just a basic station. But, you know, the coaster itself gets the job done. It goes into this banked curve, goes into these two loops, and then it makes a few more like curves and a few bunny hop or a few hills, and it goes back into the station. So nothing super fancy, but I wanted it to mimic a classic kind of compact Schwarzkopf looper, if you will. I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty pronouncing the things. Over here we have a junior coaster. Once again, I wanted to mimic that really the beginning area is filled with more classic roller coasters, including this actually kind of big junior roller coaster now that I look at it. And I wanted it to look you know, a little bit special, so I have this like cylindrical thing in the middle here in this helix. I have a small pool here, like a lake or whatever, a pond. So yeah, it's nothing too fancy. I actually forget to show the stats. Sunday Stormer, I called it. I'm awful at names, excuse me about that. So I got 4.9 for excitement rating, 5.9 intensity, and 3.9 nausea rating. Okay, then we go over here and we have our first real proper B&M. We can follow it along. So it makes this really bang turn into this looping over the chain heel, which is inspired by Kumba. Then it goes into this, well, Immelman style. You can't really do a 0G roll or like a nice roll into a half loop here. Into a Cobra roll. And then into a 0G roll here. In it goes. And then it's time for the mid-course brake run. Sorry, the mouse is acting up a little bit. And then it does another classic B&M thing, which has these interlocking corkscrews. So it goes down into here, and then it makes a quick turnaround. And then also it goes back, and it follows these like very, easy curves, if you will, into a brake section, and that's it. And also at the beginning, it goes into this barrel roll, which I thought was pretty cool. The theming is a little bit more modern. It's also, if you look at the color scheme, it's kind of a bit of a hint towards Portal, the video game, because it has orange and blue in it. So I thought it was very nice. So before we go into this section, let me just go ahead and go into the middle of the park. So we have a lake here with a really cool roller coaster. We'll get to that in just a minute, but you have a big lake here. People can like kind of, enjoy the view, whatever, and just hang around. There's a path here. You have a nice little, I forgot what's like a pier or something with some benches. People can chill. We have a nice garden here. So that is it. You can already see the roller coaster here. We'll get to that in just a minute. But first, this is kind of a section of the park that I wanted to have a specific theme. It's kind of a jungle theme, as you can see. It has a log flume ride with some dinosaurs. Nothing too crazy. It has a mining coaster, which also broke down. I mean, Jesus, it's a broke down arama here. So this has a mini wooden coaster, a mini mine coaster. We can actually follow it along now because it's fixed. There we go. Thank you very much, mechanic. This should have been a slight hill down now because this is very slow, but it is what it is. So now it picks up speed and goes into these like turnarounds, if you will, like any classic kind of wild mouse roller coaster. And it goes into this big drop here, or relatively big. Turns around a few times and eventually makes its way back to the station. Over here we have our, a proper Woody roller coaster. Let me just check the stats here. 7.3 excitement, and it has 83 kilometers top speed. We can actually follow this along. Not many guests riding this for some reason. I guess they don't like it too much. So, big drop here. Makes a small bank or a small turn here, and goes around. And I wanted the wooden coaster to have some really fast, like some of these bunny hops, if you will. I wanted to have this roller coaster maintain its speed throughout the ride. So not much scenery here, but these things, I love these things. They really help in making the wooden roller coasters more special. So this is kind of the jungle area. And then over here we have a few more kiddie rides. We have a car ride with some nice scenery, nothing too crazy. And we have a go-karts, also very basic. How about we go up first? So we have a roller coaster in the corner here. We'll get to that in just a minute. Here we have another like small food court. And then next to the water, or next to the lake, the big lake, as you can see, we have a totally not hyper coaster inspired by Magnum XL from Cedar Point. Totally not. It's even called Magnum XL. And we can follow it along, actually. It does kind of the same thing as the wooden roller coaster. It just has some like big hills, nothing too crazy, because I didn't want to go all nuts with the track, because I know those old school hyper coasters, they really follow a basic layout, if you will, and it just makes a few turnarounds and then goes back again, a few bunny hops, and then it goes back here. Oh, I know I don't want to close the coaster, and then here into the final brake section. I could have made the station a bit bigger, but again, I guess I was a little bit lazy when it comes to this, but yeah, you get the point. Alright, and it's time for this one. This one I actually did put in some effort to make it look really nice, and that's because it has two launches. We can actually follow it along. So it launches from the station into a small like camelback, into these kind of interlocking corkscrews. It goes around again into another one, and it goes under the station. And again, this is totally not inspired by a coaster from Cedar Point. It goes here into a bigger launch. I'm going to wait for it to show up, the train, so we can follow along. There we go. Into this kind of top hat, if you will. It goes down some very quick corners. And then it goes over the lake into a barrel roll. supposed to be more like a 0G roll into this brake course, into this brake section, and there we go, that's the end. And as you can see here, we even have the sign, which is Gold Rush, and again, that's why I wanted it to appear, so people can look at it and be like, oh my god, this coaster is awesome, I should ride it. So there you go. And again, this is, I love the double launch from Maverick that is on top of each other, so I just had to put something similar in. And Maverick is kind of themed after like the I don't know, like the cowboy theme. I forgot what to call it, but this is kind of similar, I guess. So there you go. Over here we have a monster truck ride, which kind of follows the same theme as Gold Rush, the double launch, the multi-launch B&M. And over here we have an RMC hybrid, I believe is what it's called. So we can just follow this along. This is a really cool addition for OpenRCT. I've been, I haven't posted in a long while, but I've always been a fan of roller coasters. I always kind of keep track of the new roller coasters and check out the POVs. And then, the first time I saw an RMC, I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. And then they added in Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I was like, damn, this is amazing. So it goes to this curve, and a big drop into a 0G roll, turns around with these really like these banking things, whatever you call them, into a roll, into this half loop, kind of like an Immelman, I guess, and then some few quick corners, into another 0G roll, turns around, and then I believe that's almost it. Yep. And then last but not least, oh wait, we have 2 coasters left, never mind. Another completely not inspired roller coaster by Cedar Point. It's Millennium Force, because that's actually one of my most favorite roller coasters ever. And no, I've never been able to ride it because, Cedar Point is in Ohio. I live in the Netherlands, so I still plan on one of these days going over to America and just visiting Cedar Point. But very basic layout. It just goes up. It goes very fast. Let's see the top speed here. 165, so about 100 miles an hour. It has 8.89 excitement rating, so that's pretty good. We can actually follow along real quick. And this is where I kind of didn't know what to do with the supports, because I didn't want everything to have this, but, the standard supports are okay-ish, I guess. So it goes around here. This corner I'm not really that proud of. And then it goes into here, into this very quick corner. Again, it's not that great, but it is what it is. Not everything can be perfect. I mean, I haven't played this game in years, for crying out loud. I can't expect everything to be perfect right from the get-go. And then we do this, and then a few more bunny hops, or whatever they're called. Bunny hops or camelbacks. I can never figure it out. Sorry about that. My RCT, my roller coaster jargon is all over the place. And it brings us nicely to the last coaster I can show you guys, which is a single rail roller coaster, which you can actually follow along. It has a Roman theming to it. And the visitors are complaining about my long waiting times. Well, deal with it. We all have to deal with that. So it goes into this turnaround, 180-degree turn, and it goes into a very steep drop into a 0G roll. And here we go. This is a proper Immelman. I think it's called, again, if I'm wrong, correct me, into a loop, which again is over the chain hill. I love doing that. It's awesome. And then here we go over this bank, and then drop down into a smaller 0G roll. It goes there, into a big corkscrew, and then into a smaller one, and then into a brake section, and then it goes around, and there you go. And that's pretty much the park. There's not much else to show you guys. There's not much to talk about. There you go. That's the park I created. For anyone that still bothers to check out my channel, thank you very much for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this is nowhere near as good as some of the creations I've seen in RCT2 from, on the channels like Dirklink or Marcel Vos, which I still watch. But it is what it is. I hope you guys liked it. Thanks again for watching. I'm Moonkin FTW, and hey, maybe I'll see you in the next video. See ya.